Hey there, thanks for clicking on this video and giving it a shot. This is one example of what they call a ghosting isolation. Isolations are some of my favorite things to perform when it comes to the circus and flow arts. Isolations are when you use motion to create this sense of stillness, and they're delightfully decepting to the eye and a joy to perform. This video is one of a series of various mini hoop isolation techniques. There's many different ways people can perform isolations with hoops in general. I prefer to use a mini hoop here on the channel so you can see easier. Here's one way you can perform an isolation with a hoop. Here's another way you can perform an isolation with a hoop. But today we're going to focus on what they call the ghosting isolation. A ghosting isolation more or less is when you use two hands and one's doing the work while the other one is kind of tracing the line of the circle, creating this illusion that it's just slipping between your fingers. Pretty cool stuff. And that's the isolation we're focusing on here today. A ghosting isolation, more or less, is when you use one hand to do all of the work of the isolation while the other hand traces around it. You can see here that I have one hand open and the other hand closed. I'm doing this quite dramatically so you can see the work and what's actually going on here. So if you already have a hoop at home, this is an opportunity for you to pick up and play along with me. If you don't have a hoop with you right now, maybe you can take some mental notes and give this a try later. But before we get started, I always like to start with safety. Be aware of your surroundings. A little common sense and a little bit of foresight can go a long way. This is an aluminum hoop, so it's made of metal and it could potentially damage something if you make an error or a mistake. And if you're playing with a larger hula hoop, you might make a mistake. It might fly off some direction. Just be aware of your surroundings and aware of your own abilities and aware of your own potential to make mistakes. And the nice thing about isolations is that you tend to grip the object that you're isolating, so there's a minimal chance of you actually making a mistake and having it fly off in some direction. It's not like we're doing spinning techniques here today. So with all that considered, let us begin. You can either start at the 12 o'clock position or the 6 o'clock position. Either one is fine. I think starting at the 12 o'clock position is a little more natural and a little easier to work with. So now you want to pick one hand to grip with and one hand to slip with. I'm going to grip with my right and slip with my left. What I mean by slip is I'm going to loosen the grip of my left hand ever so slightly, and you want to do it in a way that it looks like you might still be gripping it to keep the illusion alive. You'll see what I mean in just a second. But for the sake of this tutorial, I'm going to make this a little more dramatic by opening up my hand way big so you can know which hand you're going to be slipping with, just to make it easier for learning's sake. And then we'll show you the polished version when we're done learning. Here we go. So the right hand is going to grip, the left hand is going to slip. And the idea here is you want to pull down on both sides and keep the hoop centered. That's what makes the isolation work, is keeping this circle in one spot while your hands move around it to the 3 o'clock and the 9 o'clock position. And if you keep going down, you can work both hands down until you get to the 6 o'clock position, just like this. And now when you get down here, what you want to do is switch your grip. So now I'm going to grip with my left and slip with my right, open it up, and guide along the outside to the 3 o'clock and 9 o'clock position, then keep going all the way up to the 12 o'clock position. And then when you're here, wash, rinse, and repeat, my friends. You want to switch your grips. Your right hand's going to grip, your left hand's going to slip. You're going to move down from the 12 o'clock position to the 9 and the 3, and then further down. And it's that simple. Now once you get down there, you know what to do. Switch the grip and keep that pattern going. And there you have it. That is one example of a ghosting isolation that you can perform. And this is one of my favorite ones because it's pretty easy to learn when you're first starting, and it's also very, very effective with the audience once you get it perfected. Once you can move a little more fluidly with it, it really pops this illusion that your arms are just kind of slipping up and down over it, when in fact it's moving in a clockwise or counterclockwise direction. Whichever direction you want to spin in is up to you. Whichever one feels more natural is up to you. The illusion will still remain the same if you keep it in one steady location. You'll find that practicing this technique in front of a mirror or recording yourself doing it with a camera is a very effective way to slowly perfect your technique to make that illusion really pop and make that isolation really pop. I also noticed the wider the diameter of whatever hoop you are using will aid in the illusion. The bigger the hoop, the more likely it'll look like it's sitting in one spot if you're making little micro errors. The smaller the diameter, the more likely you'll see that hoop moving around when you're trying to do your isolation. So to do a ghosting isolation with a hoop this small is kind of difficult to keep it looking like it's staying in one spot, especially this close to a camera. But you'll notice also that these isolations tend to pop a little bit more and look a little bit more effective from further away from the audience too. That may just be my opinion, but that's what I notice. Whenever I'm really close to someone doing an isolation, you can really see every little centimeter or even millimeter of movement where it's hovering around. And the further away you are, you can't really notice that waver as much. So yes, my friends, this is one example of many different styles of how you can do a ghosting isolation. Any way you can keep the hoop moving while looking like it's sitting still and tracing it with your hands is another example of a ghosting isolation. One hand does the work, the other one does the tracing. So if you use your imagination, you might be able to come up with your very own ways to isolate a hoop too. Anyways, to all my jugglers, magicians, clowns, freaks, geeks, and weirdos, thanks very much for watching this video here tonight. I'm not the best with mini hoops or hoops in general, but I really love isolations, and I love showing people how to do isolations. And I know just enough to teach people the basics. So if you're new to the circus and flow arts, and you happen to have a hoop lying around, and this video is useful for you, and it gets you started on your journey of flow arts, that makes me very happy, and thank you very much for watching this video here today. And please know that every single Sunday I release another circus and flow arts tutorial here on my channel. So if you want to learn how to juggle balls, juggle clubs, contact juggle like that thing that David Bowie did in Labyrinth, pretty cool stuff, or you can even learn how to spin things on your finger. We call it pediddling, and you can do it with virtually anything flat and wide enough. Pretty fun stuff. Or you could even learn how to do the devil sticks. Devil sticks are one of my favorite circus and flow arts props, and I've been doing them for the longest time out of any of them. I'm not the best at any one of these props, but I have a passion for the circus and flow arts, and I have a passion for the basics in teaching people who are new to the circus and flow arts how to do the basics to get themselves started. I post a lot here on YouTube about a lot of different things, so maybe check my playlist section to figure out more what I'm all about. Anyway, thanks for watching my video to the end. I appreciate it very much. Remember to never give up. Do your best. Stay true to you, and be amazing, my friends. Thanks for watching, and good night.